Thank you for your company. It's been the week from hell for Prince Andrew, hasn't it? Exposed as a liar, his accuser's memoir published from beyond the grave, the loss of his titles, and I reckon soon to be kicked out of Royal Lodge. It's just got a little bit worse though. US lawmakers are now urging Randy Andy to hop on a plane to America and testify in Congress as part of an investigation into his old paedophile pal, Jeffrey Epstein.
Congressman, would you consider inviting Prince Andrew to speak to your committee?
We would be extremely interested in hearing from Prince Andrew regarding his involvement in all of this. Yes.
Will you issue that invitation then?
We will. I'm sure.
Yes, members of the House Oversight Committee, the main investigative committee of the US House of Representatives, well, they believe Prince Andrew will be asked shortly to give evidence once the government shutdown here in DC comes to an end. Just as some context, the Oversight Committee is currently examining newly released documents linked to pedo Jeffrey Epstein, documents which, of course, amongst others, mention the Prince. Meanwhile, it doesn't get much better for Andrew in the UK either, because Sir Keir Starmer's backing calls for a parliamentary inquiry into Andrew's housing agreement at Royal Lodge.
Mr. Speaker, given the revelations about Royal Lodge, does the Prime Minister agree that this House needs to properly scrutinise the Crown Estate to ensure taxpayers' interests are protected? The Chancellor herself has said that the current arrangements are wrong. So will the Prime Minister support a select committee inquiry so all those involved can be called for evidence, including the current occupant?
Prime Minister. Well, it's important in relation to all properties, Crown properties, that there is proper scrutiny. I certainly support that.
And this week it was revealed Prince Andrew was staying at Royal Lodge in Great Windsor Park for free, not a penny paid, on the 30-room mansion for some 2 decades. All right, for some, eh? Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cybercriminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GBNews discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GBnews to start protecting yourself digitally today. Well, let's get the take of editor-at-large at the Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. Charlotte, good evening. Thank you for your company. It does just get worse for Andrew. Another headache. He's not being forced to come to the US. He's not being subpoenaed, but Congress want him to come. What's your take?
You're right, he's not being forced to come, but of course he probably won't go, and it will be yet another embarrassing saga for him, because I'm like you said this before the break, I mean, I just don't think he'll do it. He's burying his head in the sand. Apparently he's pretty much barricaded himself into Royal Lodge. The chances of him getting on that flight from Heathrow and doing what he should do, which is helping the victims to work through their experience, share what he saw during his time with Epstein. He may say he's completely innocent of everything he's been accused of, but what is for sure is that he took several massages from Epstein, that there are flight logs showing he took 4 flights on the Lolita Express. So I think it would be the right thing to do to explain to the victims what he saw and help them piece together how it worked. And that would be really valuable to them, and it would make amends for his Newsnight interview, during which he showed no sympathy at all for the victims. However, what are the chances of him doing that? I think it's very slim.
Yeah, I mean, it would be interesting to see him land at Washington Dulles and then get a car down to Congress. And, you know, if his Newsnight interview was anything to go by, I'd probably, if I was advising Andrew, I'd say stay the hell away from Congress. You seemingly can't, or you're unable to communicate, you know, in public properly without putting your foot in it. Charlotte, I want to talk to you about the public perception of Andrew, because there's been lots of support on gbnews.com/yoursay, on the inbox over the past 3 or 4 or 5 nights. Lots of people, I'd say the majority actually, saying leave Andrew alone. He's not been found guilty of anything, even going as far to say his accusers and people who were involved in Epstein weren't maybe the victims they are making out to be. What's your take on that? Are you seeing that same kind of support for Andrew?
Well, what I would say is that people that I know, sources, are starting to genuinely worry about his mental health. And although I think he does deserve a lot of scrutiny, it has been day after day after day for best part of 2 weeks now. And I wouldn't want it to get so far that, you know, something bad happens to him. And we know Princess Beatrice went to visit him the other day. And I think that's because he is in a bad place. And I don't have sympathy for him, but I just would be aware that when the pylon is this intense, it's coming from every angle. As you say, he's now got pressure from America, he's got pressure from Parliament, he's got pressure from his family. It is a lot for one human being to take. And many people might say, well, he deserves it. But I am hearing just the odd voice saying, God, I hope he's going to be okay. And he's, you know, because we haven't heard really from him other than that statement. Although I would say the statement was quite bombastic. I have to say I haven't had anyone accusing the victims of being in the wrong. That's news to me, and not something I personally agree with. Having read bits of Virginia's book, you know, I thought that was really quite shocking, and actually reminded me that this is about the victims and not just about Andrew and the lodge and the titles.
Yeah, just for the record, Charlotte, I have absolutely no sympathy with Andrew whatsoever. I was actually quite surprised at the influx of support that he's had from, well, lots of our viewers. Basically, there's one here now from Carl on Your Say saying, whatever happens to innocent until proven guilty, we should wait for the Andrew inquiry before calling him the Duke of Porkies. That's a good one, Carl. I like that. But I have no sympathy whatsoever, regardless of whether he's been found guilty or not. And of course, he denies all allegations. He's now been proven to have lied in that Newsnight interview. So, as a royal, as a fairly senior royal in the grand scheme of things, that for me is enough that he deserves the pressure and deserves the flag.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for example, he had the Order of the Garter until literally last week, and it's the highest order of chivalry in the land. Whether you care about these things or not, one thing's for certain, he certainly did, because in his letter to Epstein, where he says we shall play again soon, he signs it off KG for and Order of the Garter, and just things like that. You know, he is actually a member of the royal family. He obviously cares about chivalry, and yet he's shown very little. For example, he's lied. He's obviously been very sort of rude and boorish in public, very dismissive in the Newsnight interview. You know, this isn't really how a member of the royal family should be behaving, because they're supposed to be setting an example to the rest of the country. So I think on that, he's obviously guilty, and obviously guilty of lying. And, you know, the fact he paid the settlement has always made people assume the worst, it has to be said.
Yeah, although that said, I believe, again, I'm going to cause some controversy here, I believe Michael Jackson was innocent, and yet he paid out money as well, so maybe that's another conversation. Just finally, Charlotte, you mentioned Prince Andrew. Sources are telling you that he's, you know, really feeling the pressure, he's under a bit of mental health strain. How, as far as you understand or know, how are the family reacting? Is the King there supporting him? Dare I say Prince William, has he had a change of tune, a change of heart towards his uncle?
No, not really. I think that's the problem. He's being stonewalled by a lot of his family. Possibly even his own daughters are finding it very difficult to work out how to communicate with him at the moment. A lot of his friends have dropped him. I mean, actually, nearly all of his friends have dropped him. And he is, of course, he's basically barricaded himself in Royal Lodge. And as of today, when it was discussed in Parliament, it looks like the game is really up on that Royal Lodge debate. He's been able to say he's got a cast iron lease all along, but now there's going to be scrutiny. It just seems very unlikely he's going to be able to keep hold of it. So it does seem like he's sort of homeless on top of everything else.
Has he still? I'll let you go in a second, Charlotte. Sorry, I appreciate your time. You've been very generous. Has he still got the place in Verbier, the ski resort, the lodge, or did he sell that?
The last I heard was that he sold it. And it was very controversial as well, because nobody could quite work out, as usual with Andrew, where the money had gone. And he's just sold his he sold his Belgravia mansion as well for £4 million a couple of months ago, below market rate. Also slightly suspicious. And I was told he was reinvesting that money into other properties. So I do wonder whether he's bought himself somewhere, but he definitely wants to stay pretty reclusive at the moment, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. All right, Charlotte, thank you very much. Editor-at-Large at The Mail on Sunday, Charlotte Griffiths. I'm looking forward to seeing your paper and whatever you've got in store for us on Sunday. Thank you, Charlotte.